Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Ron and thank you for stopping by. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to create smooth slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, this should help out a lot of you because you don't need the best camera gear. You just need a camera that can shoot at 60 frames per second. And nowadays, most cameras can easily shoot that. With that said, let's take a look at what I was able to capture using just 60 frames per second on my Canon SL2. Now, I shot all the intro footage on my DJI Mavic Air or my Canon SL2 at 60 frames per second. For the best results, you may want to shoot at a minimum of 60 frames per second. Most of us don't have 120 frames per second cameras, but if you do, that's even better. Yes, the Mavic Air can shoot video at 120 frames per second in HD and Full HD if you own that drone, but for this tutorial, I shot everything at 60 frames per second. Oh, and I should also mention that I'm using a 24 frame per second timeline for the final export of this video, or more accurately, it's 23.976 frames per second within Adobe Premiere Pro settings. So all the video I'm using for slow motion, I shot at a higher frame rate. In this case, 60 frames per second, as you can see here in my project panel, but I dropped it into a new sequence I created in Premiere Pro, which is a 24 frame per second timeline, or 23.976. Okay, back to the tutorial. I'm already in Adobe Premiere Pro and have a clip we can use. In this video, I'm going to assume you have a basic understanding of Premiere Pro already. Now, the easiest way to slow down your footage is by right-clicking the video on the timeline and selecting speed and duration. And here you can change the video speed by 50% to slow it down. So now everything on the timeline is running at 50% of its original speed. Now, if you happen to be on a 24 frame per second timeline, the lowest you want to go is about 40%, because after 40%, the footage may start to get a bit choppy. Now, there is more than one way to slow down your video footage. You could also select the rate stretch tool, or the R key on the keyboard, then just go to the end of the clip on your timeline, hold your left mouse button, and drag it to the left or the right to increase or decrease the speed of your video. You'll see in the timeline how much you've increased or decreased the speed, as well as the percentage. Now, for the cleanest transition between normal speed and slow motion, you'll want to give yourself a little more workspace. Now, at the top of your video track is this line, and right now the line is for opacity. You can adjust this by moving it up or down. But what you want to do is adjust the speed, so we need to right-click on the clip, then select Show Clip Keyframes, then Time Remapping and Speed. Now, the previous opacity line is changed to a speed adjustment line. Same as before, you can just drag the line up or down to increase or decrease the speed of your clip. Now, what you want to do is add some keyframes to mark the starting and the ending points of your slow motion effect. Just click the little keyframe option to set the key point at the beginning of the slow motion. Then drag your timeline indicator all the way over to the right and select another keyframe to mark the end of the slow motion. Now, just drag your line to 50% and increase the other two ends of the clip to 200%, just to increase the difference between these clips. The slow motion is okay, but could be better. So what you want to do next is smooth out the transitions between fast and slow motion by creating what's called a ramp. Just click and hold your left mouse button here on the small indicator and drag it over to the right to create the ramp. You can increase or decrease the duration of the ramp by moving the indicators right or left. Then grab the end of this bar, which looks like a seesaw, to smooth the effect out even further. You'll want to do the same thing on the other end of the clip. Just hit the space bar to play through the results, and things are looking much better now. But we can still improve the video playback quality even further. What you want to do is set what's called time interpolation. Right-click the video track and select time interpolation and optical flow. Your bar in your timeline is probably turned red, so you'll want to simply hit enter to render the results before you can view them. The render screen will come up, and this could take a few seconds depending on the size of your video clip. Once rendering is done, you can view the updated results of optical flow being enabled. Now, for reference, optical flow time remapping allows you to achieve smoother speed and frame rate changes by interpolating missing frames in your video footage. Now, that's really the end of the tutorial, but there are some other tips and tricks you can use to improve your B-roll footage. If you have an image stabilized lens on your camera, or if you have IBIS, which is in-camera stabilization, that can help take out shake in your footage, especially when you're doing handheld shots and don't have a gimbal. Another feature is warp stabilization, which can just get dropped onto the clip. Warp stabilization will remove jitter caused by camera movement, but it will crop the video in just a bit. Some other tips to help with your B-roll would be to color grade your footage, which is an entirely separate video, but worth mentioning. And of course, add music to your B-roll along with sound effects that are appropriate. I use Epidemic Sound for all my music and sound effects. I'll leave a link below if you want to check them out. You can also throw in some matte bars to help make the footage look even more cinematic. Now, I think that's it for now. I've been doing a lot of FPV related videos, so I wanted to do a tutorial video that was more relatable to a larger audience, so I hope this helps out quite a few folks. I started out doing a lot of Spark and Mavic Air videos, and I didn't want to forget about those folks who've helped me get the channel started. This channel is going to be ongoing and keep developing, so I hope you'll stick with me. It's always easier shooting drone footage in the spring and summer, definitely a little tougher in the wintertime. That's it. If you got any value out of this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell for future video notifications. So until next time, take care, happy flying, and remember, we got this.
Falling on my love.